Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody to the show. I am your host Adam, and PJ will be here momentarily. Hope you guys had a good Monday. Super Bowl Sunday. It was a event. I guess. You know, it was a good Super Bowl in my opinion. You know, overtime. Who doesn't love overtime? You know, because now we got to wait, you know, months until football starts. So get as much as you can while you can, right? So the Kansas City Chiefs are back-to-back champions. They have won their third title in 4 years. And, I mean, that's very impressive. They could go for 3, I guess. No one's ever done that. You know, Patrick Mahomes is getting the job done in Kansas City, and I guess he's worth that big contract now. I mean, you know, I'm not really a fan of big contracts, but, you know, the youngster at 28 years old is getting 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. You know, he's in year 7. He's played 6 years in the league. You know, he's been to an AFC championship, I do believe, every year, except for his rookie year that he was sitting behind the starter. TJ, are you with me?
I'm here.
All right. Thought I heard you. But that money is well spent. If they can three-peat it, that would be crazy. Really quickly, want to give a shout-out before we get off into this thing to 110 Nation Sports and to Blog Talk Radio and everybody listening. Appreciate y'all. The latter half of the show, we usually do a 60-minute to 90 minutes on here. The latter half of the show, we'll start, taking phone calls if you guys want to call in and give us your opinion on what we've been discussing. The number is 718-664-9861, and you can come up and tell me and TJ how wrong we are or how right we are. And we already know it's going to be right because we're never wrong.
Yeah.
So make sure you guys call in when we give you guys that go-ahead to make your calls. We try to keep it, 5-10 minutes so that way we can get another caller in. But then again, tonight we might change it up and extend time and stuff, especially if you're making really good points. But if you get off down some just, crazy little whatever, then we'll probably just go ahead and, connection's probably lost. But, So, like I said, 110 Nation Sports, you're awesome. Blog Talk Radio, awesome. This is episode 3 of The Closers. So, what do you got, TJ? What do you got?
All in all, it was a pretty good Super Bowl.
What's your rating? A through F.
The what?
What do you give it a rating? A through F.
A through S? Or A through F?
A, B, C, D, E. Yeah. What do you give it? What?
I give it a B+.
Well, you took my rate. That's why I give it 2.
It was a defensive battle at the beginning of it. And it shaped up to be a pretty good game. Patrick Mahomes threw his first interception, and God, how many games in a row in the postseason? He was 11 touchdowns, no interceptions. He was sacked 3 times, which is something you don't ever see Patrick Mahomes get sacked. he still pulled it off and still won it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like
yeah,
I mean,
that's
you touched on it perfect. Ever since he's been a starter, I don't think he's never made it to the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, I think he's been to 6 straight. I do believe, and which I know I could use Google and whatever, but I like to use my memory and think that I'm right by what I'm saying. No, I'm just kidding. I think he's been to 6, and our boy Joe Burrow got him that one year. But to get there and to get to the Super Bowl 4 times, to win it, 3 of the 4 times you've been in it, that's crazy. Who would have thought? Because here's my take on it. If they thought what they had was going to be this, why did he start his rookie year? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They had him behind Alex Smith or whatever, which I guess Smith was playing whatever, but the first opportunity he got, he's not looked back behind him. You know what I'm saying? He has, it just outperformed and performed and performed. I think it was his second season he put up 5,000 yards or something like that, or it might have been his first. I can't remember. But, it's very impressive to see a young guy at 28 doing what he's doing. Those GOAT talk people are throwing around already. I absolutely disagree with. TJ, you might agree with it. I don't. I think that, you got to play your career and see where you're at the end of your career. Because what happened? What if he doesn't go to another Super Bowl? What if he plays 10 more years? He played 17 seasons, and he went 3 out of 4 his first whatever, and then boom, he never went to another one, and he never won another one. So he won 3. That's the GOAT. Ain't no way. So, what's your take on the GOAT conversation? People that want to throw that out there so quickly when someone has a couple few seasons. You know what I'm saying? In any sport they do it. I don't know.
Yeah, he is. I don't think he's GOAT level just yet. I think he's knocking on the door of like Tom Brady and Joe Montana, but he just ain't there yet. But if he keeps on, if he keeps on playing the way he's playing and keeps taking the Chiefs to AFC Championship game and winning Super Bowls, maybe 3-4 years down the road, maybe we can consider it then.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But as of right now, I think it's too soon.
Mm-hmm. Right. And that's my whole thing is when I say stuff like that, people are like, oh, well, you're just hating because, our team's in the same division, because I've got a ton of friends that are KC fans, right? Because I'm in Missouri, right? So a lot of people follow Kansas City. Well, I'm a Denver guy. And, I follow the Broncos. We're in the same division. No, I'm not hating at all. I'm being real. If he keeps doing what he's doing throughout his career, and he's going to Super Bowls like Tom Brady went to a Super Bowl. He never was not in the Super Bowl more than every other 2 years. I think it was a span of 2 years twice. Other than that, it was every other year. Yep. So, and that's wild to me, that he's went 3 out of 4, okay, in 7 years. So he's been 4 Super Bowls in 7 years. Okay, cool. But if he ends where he's at with 3, then he's tied with Joe Montana because Montana's got 3, right? So,
yeah.
I just don't see how if Montana's not the GOAT, then how do you give it to Mahomes? Because he did 3 out of 4 in 7 years, and it took Montana 15 years to get 3. Well, 3 is 3. What if he went to the last 3? Say, what if a quarterback goes and plays 15 years, and their last 3 years in the league, they get their 3 Super Bowls? That's less of impressive than it is if you go in your first 3 years in the league. In your prime? No, I think later in life, like what Brady was doing. Brady winning the championship at 42 or whatever it was, the MVP at 40 or 44. I don't know how old he was, but That, to me, is more impressive than somebody being 26, in your prime. But I think 3 is 3, 4 is 4, 2 is 2, whatever. Everybody keeps forgetting about Bradshaw. I mean, he's got 4. He ain't the GOAT. Nobody can see. So I just think that yes, I agree with you, TJ, 100%. I was having a conversation about this with a friend of mine earlier today, and we're both in agreement. Also, everybody I've been talking to about this over the last day, handful of people. If his resume keeps, at the end of the day, is what it keeps building and building and building and building and building, and it keeps championships and championships. Okay, yeah, absolutely, we'll have that conversation. But we ain't having that conversation in year 7. Because if he retires right now and he ended at 3 and went to 4, I'm not giving him the GOAT.
No, me neither.
So, but not taking nothing away from Kansas City or them. They have worked their tail off this year to get where they are at. They were a rocky team all year. They had people arguing with each other. They were arguing with the refs. They weren't putting up those high numbers. They had to go on the road for every playoff game. They earned it. They deserved it, whatever you want. They worked their tail off. But I will say this, though. You did have to go 5 quarters to 9 seconds left to beat the last pick in the draft.
Brock Purdy is going to have a bright future, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But, a part of me thinks, what if he didn't have Debo or Ayuk out there? Would he still have the same success?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, and I can see that, comment. And okay, but is Patrick Mahomes, if he doesn't have Travis Kelce or the years he had Tyreek Hill?
I don't think Patrick Mahomes would have been the same.
So it's like, the whole Cam Newton craziness he's talking, which I was a fan of Cam Newton, don't get me wrong, even though my team, has, put him out of that Super Bowl that year in a very – he has nightmares to probably still Von Miller. But, he wants to talk about people that are managers and game changers. I think every quarterback that's elite, like Patrick Mahomes, like Josh Allen, like Joe Burrow, C.J. Stroud this year, Brock Purdy, those are your top quarterbacks, right? Like your Aaron Rodgers even still. I think at all times throughout the facets of the game, you have to be a game changer and you have to be a game manager. You have to manage he was on Warren Sapp's show, during the Super Bowl week, and he was like, well, Sapp's like, well, if you're such a game, why didn't you dive on that ball you fumbled? And the Super, if you're an elite game changer, why didn't you try for that ball you fumbled? Because he called all these guys out that aren't, because he's sour, he's not in the league. He's sour that all these other guys are playing and he's not no more. It is what it is, Cam. But to insult Purdy, in my opinion, he was insulting him. He was like, it's not an insult. I'm like, yes, it was. He's the last pick in the draft and took a team to Super Bowl. You're kind of jealous, in my opinion. So
not only that,
he can be a game manager.
He was third-string quarterback.
Yeah. But you touched on a really good point. Is he the same without those guys? Okay. Look what Tom Brady did when he finally got all-star receivers. Instead of getting like 6th and 7th round picks and then him and Belichick turning these guys into great receivers, when he got Randy Moss, he had the most yards of his career. He had, you know what I'm saying? He had the most touchdowns, the least amount of, you know what I'm saying? Like that was his year. Imagine if he had Randy Moss more than that, how many Super Bowls he would have went to and probably won.
The year that they had Randy Moss, did they win the Super Bowl?
No, that's the year that they went undefeated, and the Giants that shouldn't even been in the playoffs beat them.
I know.
Remember?
Yeah, because Eli Manning was getting known as the GOAT killer because he won 2 Super Bowls, both against Tom Brady.
Correct, and both times they should have probably been in the playoffs.
Yeah, that David Tyree helmet catch and shit.
Yeah. I guess they, what was it, 18-1 or something? They went 19-1, something like that. 16, 17. 19-1, or whatever they went. So, because they would have, unless they had to buy, it'd be 18-1. But either way, they went undefeated and lost in the Super Bowl. With that squad, as I'm saying, it was crazy that they, and since you brought the GOAT thing again, or the GOAT killer, the GOAT whatever, and then we were talking about people saying, well, we got to start talking about Mahomes being okay. But when the GOAT was actually still playing, he got a chance to play the GOAT, and he lost to the GOAT twice. So
once in the Super Bowl, that Super Bowl, Patrick Mahomes took a beating.
How can you be the GOAT if you can't be the GOAT, Like, just really quickly, they always talk about LeBron and Michael Jordan conversation about who's the GOAT. Well,
and
they never got to play together.
San Francisco 49ers did something that all 30 of the rest of the teams are taking notice to. They figured out a way to make Patrick Mahomes run east and west and not north and south.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do that, shut Patrick Mahomes down.
Well, Bosa and Chase Young, what they were doing, they talked about during the game. So when they get on that outside edge of the offensive line, once they get on that outside edge, they usually would drop back on the inside, and then therefore he's able to keep going outside, go upfield, right? Once they got that guy on the edge, they just kept pushing him out, so they met him halfway. What he have to do, suck back into the pocket, and then boom, the defensive tackles are getting him. You know what I'm saying? So, it was a very good scheme by the 49ers. I got a really I got a text message about, I hope you come up here in a little bit whenever we open the phone lines up. And I want you to tell us about your theory on why PG is the true GOAT. But anyway, we'll get to that in a little bit. Paul George is the true GOAT. I got texted. But anyway. So I think that I give them their flowers. I did pick Kansas City by 3. So I should have, I guess,
I'm the one egg on my face. I picked San Francisco by 10.
Yeah, several people did that I've talked to. That's not silly, though, because if they don't stop running the ball like they did, maybe they would have got that 10, because the second half, they stopped running the ball.
I don't know why.
They have 8. He had 80 and 80, and like almost all of it's done in the first. And it's like, then they have pressure defense. They're showing blitz with 6. They back off 2 in coverage. They're showing it very well, like hiding it, and then they all of a sudden they go on their defense. Outside of not in the second half, they start playing rush 4. Play everybody 15 yards off the player or off the ball. And then what are they doing? Hitting under routes, wheel routes, screen routes, getting them first down, 3rd and 4s. Oh, here's a dump pass. Here's a shovel pass that should have never happened. Like, because they're playing 10, giving them cushion. Yeah, like they're giving them cushion. So good job, Andy Reid. That's he's right there as far as GOAT coaches. Andy Reid is a mammer jammer, man. That dude. I had a friend tell me earlier, he has a way to figure out to get teams to play his way of ball. Like, and if you're running the ball against him, he gets you to stop doing that. If you're passing the ball against him, he gets you to stop doing it. Like, it was crazy. Like, stopping running the ball was confusing to me. and then being lazy on not lazy on defense, but playing soft defense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I wish they would have had kept more of the formations with fullback in it, unless it was an obvious passing down. And they didn't do that. They always took the fullback out. And that Juszczyk is a bad fullback. And, I mean, even though if you weren't going to run it, make the Chiefs think you're going to run it. Because Christian McCaffrey, he can turn a 1-yard run into 8 yards. I ain't never seen anybody run so angry like him.
Angry. I mean, just he was a man on a mission.
Yeah, because he wanted to follow in his dad's footsteps. His dad won a Super Bowl under Mike Shanahan, and he wanted to win the Super Bowl under Kyle Shanahan. And I think that would have been awesome. Father and son played for father and son head coach, and they both won Super Bowls.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know, Shanahan was making some really weird calls at times, and
yeah, he was. It was strange.
It was really strange. What he was, with, like I said, the defensive calling, the offensive calling, which I know he's not the coordinator or whatever, but I feel like he could have played. Christian McCaffrey should have been the guy that they focused on. Like I said, like you said, it'd been cool because his dad, like I said, he won back-to-back with. He's got 3 Super Bowl titles himself. That whole family's just loaded with athletes, and he plays the game the right way, and but they just come up a little short. Hey, they'll be back. They're okay. So. They're not losing a whole lot. They've got Chase Young, in my opinion, is the biggest name that's a free agent on that team. If they were to lose him, I don't think that breaks that defense.
I agree.
Do what?
I disagree. You got Bosa on one end, you got Chase Young on the other end. They play so well together because, hell, they played together in college. So they got that.
Well, what if
but I see the 49ers re-signing Chase Young to a big deal.
Yeah. And if they do, I mean, that's great. I'm just saying, I think that he's the biggest name in my opinion. There are some other players, but none that pop out to me. So we're going to talk about that and break that down. The Kansas City Chiefs, they have several free agents.
I think most of them are on the offensive line, ain't they?
No, most of them are on defense.
Yeah, Chris Jones is one of them.
Chris Jones. Their punter, that's Townsend. Dude, that dude's a good punter. He's a free agent. But they have several. Like I said, they got Snead, I believe, is one. Like you said, Jones. The offensive lineman that came in for their All-Pro that got hurt right before the playoffs or the first game in the playoffs. He's got like a Italian last name, Allegretti or whatever. I would be re-signing that dude. He played. So my nephew is a big Kansas City guy, okay? And I told him it would be huge not having that All-Pro. Well, you know what, Ethan, I will give you credit. You said that guy would step in and not miss a beat. You were 100% right. That guy played lights out in the playoffs. So if I was me, I would be re-signing that guy. I would be re-signing him. And Reddy Gregory is on the Niners as well, but he's a free agent. But if they did lose Chase, they could just play Gregory there. You know what I mean?
I would. If I was the Chiefs, my first off-season move would be getting rid of Kadarius Toney.
Yeah, I think they already have. I think they are. I don't think he helped himself any going on Twitter or whatever he went on, TikTok or whatever.
Oh
man. He wasn't too happy, I don't believe.
To be honest with you, I think the 49ers will be back, but they won't make it to the Super Bowl because them Detroit Lions are going to be in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. So the free agents for Kansas City is defensive line Chris Jones, wide receiver McCole Hardman, which they knew that going into it. He was just borrowed from the Jets or whatever. Defensive back Mike Edwards, offensive line Donovan Smith, linebacker Drew Tranquill, running back Edwards-Helaire, which they've got Pacheco, punter Tommy Townsend, offensive line Nick Allegretti, defensive line Tershawn Wharton, offensive line Prince Tega Wanago, long snapper James Winchester, linebacker Willie Gay Jr., running back Jarrett McKinney, quarterback Blaine Gabbert, tight end Blake Bell, defensive line Derek Nenati, wide receiver Richie James, defensive back Deion Bush, Darius Harris linebacker, defensive back Sneed, linebacker Cole Christensen, tight end Jody Fortson, defensive line Mike Dana, Malik Herring defensive line, defensive back Najee Johnson, linebacker Jake Cochran, offensive line Caliendo, Prince tight end. That's all the free agents for the Kansas City Chiefs as of 15 hours ago. Out of all those names, 2 of them are big-time players.
So, looking at the cap spaces, the Kansas City Chiefs have almost $28.5 million in cap.
They have no money.
So, no, who doesn't
Chris
have
Jones
money
is going to want $30 million.
Huh?
Chris Jones is going to want $30 million.
Who doesn't have money is the 49ers. They're in the hole almost $3 million.
Well, but they're not losing. They don't need anybody besides what you're talking about, Randy Gregory and Chase Young.
I don't know what the Saints are going to do because this is an updated list. The Saints are in the hole $83 million.
Well, they always figure a way out to move things and whatever. But do you not think Nenati and Chris Jones, they're basically what Chase Young and Bosa are to the Chiefs, and you got Sneed and then Willie Gay Jr., the linebacker. All of your linebackers are up. Like, I'm just saying, the core of that defense could be going bye-bye.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Jones, like you just said, is going to want $30 million, and that eats up all your cap space.
And Blake Bell, he had a good catch yesterday, did he not? I do believe. Oh, and Jarrett McKinnon, the other running back. So their 2 running backs, Edwards-Helaire and McKinnon, which they'll probably re-sign Edwards-Helaire, which they might finally let him walk. Who knows? But Willie Gay Jr., I mean, dude, that Wharton, Allegretti, that punter was a good punt. I mean, darn good. Drew Tranquill, their main linebacker. Like, so they got to figure out where to get some money. But Andy Reid being Andy Reid, they'll probably be all right.
Well, I'm not saying they're all going to. Chris Jones ain't going to play under a franchise tag.
I don't think he does either.
He'll go somewhere that'll want to pay him.
Yeah, I don't think he does either. And I'm not saying that this is the end-all, say-all. I'm not saying that they're going to lose and they're never going to win another game now because they got these free agents. Andy Reid's Andy Reid. They'll figure it out. One thing that I do want to say, though, is a lot of people were calling for the offensive lineman or the offensive coordinator to be fired. Around week 8, they were saying that we need to get rid of the offensive coordinator. We need to get rid of a lot of people, my nephew being one of them, but there was a lot of people saying that they needed to let him go. Do they still think that?
Hell no, because they played a perfect fucking. They played a perfect playoff.
You know, I'm just wondering, does the Chiefs Nation still think that the offensive coordinator should go bye-bye?
I mean, it could be worse, Chiefs Nation. I mean, you could have had the Pittsburgh Steelers offensive coordinator.
Speaking of going bye-bye, where was it? Where was Oh, it's on a different subject about the Ravens. We'll get to that, about their defensive coordinator left.
Hey,
but anyway.
Real quick, if the Chiefs try to, looking at the cap space list, if the Chiefs try to franchise tag Chris Jones, right, not saying they will, like you said, Andy Reid and the office will find a way to make room for money, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if they have no other option but the franchise tag, I could see Chris Jones going to the Houston Texans.
Ooh-wee.
And what DeMeco Ryans is doing with that team. They have $68 million in cap space.
Yeah. And the Texans are going to be good.
Yes.
They're going to be good next year.
Team.
Hey. Yeah. Chris Jones can't go to the Niners, but if he did, wow.
Yeah, the Niners would be unstoppable then.
Yeah, but they can't because they have 4 pennies.
Yeah, well, they owe.
Yeah, so if he went to the Texans, that would be holy wow. Because, like I said, the Texans, C.J. Stroud, I've been a fan of him since college. That boy's playing ball. You know, could have been the MVP.
He ain't going to go to the New England Patriots that are in the middle of a rebuild because they got high cap space. They ain't going to go to the Tennessee Titans because they are in the middle of a rebuild. Or the Washington Redskins. The next is either Indianapolis or Houston, Texas. I would go to the Texans. They're on the rise.
Yeah, and you're basing that off of the teams. So your listeners, he's basing this off of looking at the cap of what people can afford to pay him the max amount. He's not just picking random teams or AFC teams.
What would make more sense and who has the most money for Chris Jones is I would go with DeMeco Ryans and the Texans, and then we get a new AFC champ.
Because he's going to go somewhere, because he is a top player, he's going to go somewhere where he can compete now for a ring if he can't stay with the Chiefs. If they can't afford him, he's going to go where he can win now. He's not in position. He's too good of a player to do a rebuild. Yeah, he ain't going to go to a team in the middle of a rebuild. He's going to go ahead and go to a team that's up and coming. If you're willing to pay him that $30 million a year. Right. Exactly.
I mean, what, he has
I agree.
4 years left in him?
Yeah. So the stats for yesterday are for the Niners. Brock Purdy was 23 of 38, 255 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 0 picks. Jennings was 1 for 1, 21 yards, 1 touchdown. With Jennings, by the way, was the first player, I do believe, in Super Bowl history to throw a touchdown and receive a touchdown.
I believe the second.
Do what?
He was the second.
He was the second?
Yeah, Nick Foles was the first.
Okay. Thank you for fact-checking me. I appreciate that.
Hey, Jawan Jennings is my boy, University of Tennessee.
Christian McCaffrey, 22 carries, 80 yards with an average of 3.6. Brock Purdy had 3 for 12. And on receiving end, again, Christian McCaffrey led the receiving end, like rushing, 8 receptions, 80 yards, average of 10, 1 touchdown. Brandon, was it Ayuk? Ayuk, 3 receptions, 49 yards. Jennings, 4 receptions, 42 for 10. Debo, 3 for 33. And that's pretty, Kittle, very quiet, 2 receptions, 4 yards. If there's anything to take away from this is that Kittle was absolutely defended to the core last night. They were doubling him. They were showing double when they didn't double him. And I think he had a drop even. Kittle couldn't get going. I don't understand that. But hey, they had the Christian McCaffrey train going and they went away from it. 80 yards and 80 receiving. I mean, come on. And rushing. Fred Warner was their leading tackler with 9 tackles, 4 assists. Brown had 7 and 4 with 1. Bosa had 4 and 2 assists. Chase Young had 1 and 1 with 1 sack. Armstead had 1 sack. Hargrave had 1 sack. Their kicker was 3 for 3 on field goals, but he was not on extra points, which we'll get into that in a second. The Chiefs' numbers, Mahomes was 34 of 46 with 333, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Mahomes had 9 carries for 66 yards. Pacheco had 18 for 59. Kelsey had 9 receptions for 93 yards, average of 10.3. Hardman had 3 for 57. Watson 3 for 54. Rice 6 for 39. Pacheco 6 for 33. Defensive guy was Nick Bolton with 8 assists on 5 tackles. Justry was 4 and 5. Edwards 4 and 3. Karlaftis had half a sack. And Reed had half of a sack. Willie Gay had 4 tackles. Everybody else was pretty much, Travis Kelce was on there for some reason, but it has nothing.
Well,
Harrison Butker, as usual.
Since you just mentioned Travis Kelce, I lost all respect for him in that game.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting into after this really quickly. Harrison Butker was 4 for 4. 100%, of course, 57 was his long, which was an NFL Super Bowl record for the longest field goal, was 57 yards. And yes, Travis Kelce, go ahead.
I mean, why would you act like that? Because he took you out of the game, so it gives you a right to, have a temper flare up and almost knock your coach over? A.J. Brown said it best. He put a tweet out after he seen that. He said, if I would have done that, I would be thrown out of the league.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I didn't understand it. I know you're hyped up, you're pumped up, but there's absolutely no excuse for that. I did lose a little bit. I just thought lately, over the last several games, he's been doing these little antics. A friend of mine, we were talking earlier, he thinks a lot of it has to do with, like, trying to have this tough guy persona for his girlfriend. It's all, whatever. And that may be some of it. I just think that what if he would have knocked him down?
Yeah.
What if he would have not? What if he injured him by doing that and can't coach no more, and they go on to lose the Super Bowl? Do you know who the most hated person in Kansas City is now?
Him.
like that could have went so bad. And it's not just what passionate players do and coaches that are competitive want to win. That was beyond that. That was, in my opinion, that could have been so bad. And then afterwards, they both downplay it. One of them says, well, I hope my mic'd up didn't catch it, but I told him I loved him. And then Coach Reed downplays it. Say what you said. What were you mad about? Because if you got that mad to physically assault your coach, why can't you tell why you did it? Why are you ashamed of it now? You want to laugh it off and, because we won a Super Bowl, so it don't matter. Coach Reed's not going to care, blah, blah, I'm a Hall of Famer, blah, blah. No, I don't care, man. That was because that fumble happened. That fumble, the 52-yard bomb happened, and then the very next play, I think it was Rice fumbled it. And he was out on that play. Well, dude, people take plays off. It just happened to be the play you took off that, it was a 52 or something. It was a bomb, and then the next play they fumble. They didn't count. They didn't. I don't think they did anything after that fumble, did they? The Niners didn't do anything. They didn't get any points off that, did they? Or was it 3?
No, because it was Pacheco.
No, they got 3.
Pacheco ran the ball and fumbled it.
Okay.
It took Travis
it was Pacheco. I thought it was Rice that. Okay.
It took Travis Kelce out of the game because, on run plays, I mean, they run more offensive linemen than, personnel, right? And I guess he fumbled the ball and he had a big temper tantrum and about damn near knocked his coach over it in the first quarter.
Yeah. Like I said, I can't remember if they got 3 off of that or whatever, but I just know that when McCaffrey came out to start the game and he fumbles when they drove that, they just were marching up the field and then fumbles right there on like the inside the red zone or whatever. I was like, oh boy, Kansas City doing a 3-and-out. And then they have theirs. So the turnovers really didn't cost them. I thought the refs letting them play, I thought they stayed out of the game for the most part. There was a lot of holding, in my opinion, at times that should have been called. That last play of the game where he went in motion and then changes direction and starts upfield, I thought you had to come stop or you have to keep going left and right. So, if that's not a Super Bowl game, I think they call that for illegal motion or whatever. But why was the guy so open? Why did the safety or the corner went and then stopped? Why would you have overside help? That was a man defense. Like, it was so weird how Mecole Hardman caught that, but so open. But, yards-wise, your Niners had 382 to Kansas City's 455. Passing yards was 325 to 272. Rushing for the Niners was 110 to 130. Third down efficiency, they had 9 of 19 on Kansas City. Niners had 3 of 12. Both were 1 for 1 on fourth. They allowed 3 sacks to Chiefs, 1 on the Niners. They both punted 5 times. They both had 6 penalties. 2 fumbles for the 49ers, 1 for the Kansas City, 1 interception for Kansas City, none for the Niners. And they both possessed the ball, 38 for 49ers and 36 for the Chiefs. So they're near, identical first downs for 23 and 24. So the game was pretty crazy even across the board. It was very a defensive game. We talked about that kicker earlier. If that kicker don't miss that extra point, there's 8-9 seconds left in the game. I think the Niners could have won that 20-19.
Yeah.
Or 21-20 or whatever it was. 2019 they would have, but because they were playing that pressure defense like they were earlier in the first half. They went back to that the last couple minutes of the game. They were up in your face. They did that little slant route or out route, whatever, on the front pylon, and it didn't happen. Then they kicked the field goal to go to overtime. It's like, I think, I was on the phone with a buddy of mine during that play when they missed that extra point, and he said that is going to come back and get them, and it did. They could. I think that their Super Bowl chance by 1 if they don't miss that extra point. But guess what? The Chiefs are your 2023-2024 champions.
They have,
and nobody can take that from them. Yep, nobody can take that from them. Patrick Mahomes did what he was supposed to.
No.
Nobody's ever done it. You tell me if you agree with this or not. I was telling a friend of mine earlier, if they would have won the Super Bowl this year and played all season the way they did last year, then I would say, oh, boy, they might be the first team to three-peat.
Yep.
But with the rockiness that they had and the way they played in the playoffs, always coming back from 10 down, besides against the first round of the playoffs, you know what I'm saying? I could see them probably, I don't know if they three-peat. I don't know. But I'm going to say no basing it off of this year's performance, even though they won. But if they were dominant 2 years straight and they weren't losing nobody, but with all these free agents, the way I don't know. Andy Reid could retire. Who knows? Since you brought that up for next year, the 49ers are favored to win despite losing, plus 55. The Kansas City Chiefs are second, plus 650. The Ravens are third at 900. The Bills are fourth at 950. The Lions and the Bengals are both at 1,200. And with the Ravens being, plus they did lose their defensive coordinator to the Seahawks as a coach, so that defense was phenomenal. So, you know, the Ravens are going to have to figure that out. You know, just quickly, the Niners and the overtime deal, not knowing the rules or whatever, and you know, the coach says that we were accepting the ball all the way. All the coaches knew, and the players are saying, well, we didn't know that the rule change, or some of them knew the rule change but didn't know why they accepted the ball. And the Chiefs on the other side of that coin are saying, we practiced that in preseason. We've all week long in Super Bowl week, we said, if we go to overtime, this is what we're doing. Why didn't Shanahan practice an overtime scheme? And I don't think in my opinion, I don't think it was as simple as we knew we were taking the ball. I think he might have, he had a brain fart and was like, hey, yeah, we're taking the ball because if we go down and score, we win. If they go down and score, they're going to win. Forgetting that both teams have an equal possession, because the old rule last year was if you score first, you win, but if you score a field goal, the other team gets a chance. So that sounds better on the podium. Yeah, that's what we're going to do versus, well, I forgot the rule change. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What do you think? I mean, do you think they legitimately, like, football 101, why would you take the ball?
I would have kicked it off.
I mean, why do you kick it off to begin the game then? That's why, everybody's taught take the ball or kick the ball. I mean, so you get the second chance. You get the second half of the ball. You get the ball first and second half. Like, it was really weird, because then you go down and kick. My friend said, why'd they go down and kick a field goal then? They should have just went for the touchdown. That would have showed them that they took the ball for a reason. They wanted to score a touchdown on 4 and 3, but instead they kicked a field goal. You mean to tell me Patrick Mahomes can't get that awesome kicker of theirs, Butker, in a position to tie the game at least? He just kicked a 57-yarder.
I think if the beginning of halftime they would have kicked the ball off, the way that Niners defense was playing towards the end of the fourth quarter, I think they would have made Kansas City punt.
I do too. What if the Niners would have had to have punted? That's what I'm saying. Like, they put themselves in such a weird predicament. It was just weird that you take the ball, then you kick a field goal, and then they played lazy defense, or they played soft defense. They let him run down the field 20 yards at a time. Patrick Mahomes, they did dump routes, screen routes, wheel route. You know what I'm saying? Like fate, like everything underneath to move the ball, like they call it, like flag football plays, 5 and 7 yards at a time. And after that field goal, they basically, in my opinion, were like, oh, well, he's going to march down the field and win. But like you said, I agree. If they would have gave the ball to them first, I think they would have held them, and then all they got to do is kick a field goal to win.
So my question is, what if, what's his name, Mecole Hardman didn't catch that pass and time expired? Would they get another quarter to score that touchdown?
It would have went. Because Shannon Sharp, and then we're talking on the nightcap, him and Ocho, they were talking that. No, it would have ended that overtime, or whatever. If they kicked it would have went to the second overtime period, or something. Because it was something. I have to look that up because that's not right. I'm saying it wrong. Because they were down 3, they throw that pass with 9 seconds. He catches it. If he doesn't catch it, they possess the ball. I don't know. I'll have to go back and look that up and read. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm confusing myself because I'm not right. But yes, there was something funky with that. If that wouldn't have happened, something would have happened. So, in my opinion, they would have kicked the field goal and then went into the second overtime, and they would have had possession of the ball, because the team that wins because they would have had the possession first in the second overtime per the rule, because the team that got the ball first gets the option in the second overtime. I believe that's how it's read.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have to look it up. I'm probably way off. Who knows? But the trick play in the beginning with the flea flicker, throwing across the field to throw to McCaffrey, I thought that was awesome. Getting that interception off the right. That was that. Yeah, it was 10-3 at the half, and then they come out. I'm thinking Kansas City's gonna come out on fire. They throw a pick on the first drive. The Kansas City they fumbled. Yeah, we were talking about fumbling it. Mahomes has got 3 Super Bowls now. He's the 3 MVPs. I don't think he should have been. I know people are gonna say, "Well, who should have?" I think Kelsey should have been MVP. Andy Reid was the MVP.
Yeah.
Andy Reid was MVP. Travis Kelce should have got the MVP. And heck, if not, give it to the losing guy, Christian McCaffrey, that had 8 for 80 and 8 for 80 or something. But Mahomes gets it. Quarterbacks usually do. Whatever. Yeah, cool. His numbers were what they were, but it wasn't. I mean, I don't know. But congratulations to Patrick Mahomes on his 3rd Super Bowl. 8 other teams have went back-to-back. No one's ever won 3, like you stated earlier. So it's 9:23 in about 7 minutes. 9:20. About 7 minutes. We're going to open up the phone lines. If y'all want to call in. What else you got on this NFL subject before we have callers come in?
The awards.
Okay. You want to start?
I thought the awards were for the best players, offense, defense. Lamar Jackson won the MVP, hands down, unanimous. Christian McCaffrey.
Actually, he didn't win it unanimous.
He didn't.
No, they did not. It was supposed to be, just quickly, someone gave Josh Allen one vote because word on the street is because they choked again in the playoffs, so whoever they wouldn't give him unanimous. So he had 49-1.
But so Lamar Jackson won the most valuable player, hands down. Christian McCaffrey was Offensive Player of the Year. That was right. Now, when we get to the Defensive Player of the Year, Myles Garrett should never have won. T.J. Watt was better than him all year long. And that's one thing. If we're just handing these awards out to whoever, I mean, it's kind of mediocre, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Dan
Quinn should have won Head Coach of the Year, but that was Kevin Stefanski. So I just don't understand the picks in this awards. I mean, are they tired of seeing T.J. Watt win Defensive Player of the Year? So let's give it to another guy that did way less than he did.
Yeah, I'm with you. I talked about this the last episode. How do you get a guy a Pro Bowl bid that had zeros across the stat board, but you gave a guy like Winfield Jr. that had 5 forced fumbles, picks, I think they need to really look at who's doing this voting.
I agree. They really do. Dan Quinn should have been unanimous Head Coach of the Year.
Lamar Jackson had 49 first-place votes, 1 third-place vote. Dak Prescott had 0 first, 0 for Christian, 0 for Brock, and Josh Allen had 1 for first. Christian McCaffrey had 39, Tyreek Hill had 7, CeeDee Lamb had 1 vote, Lamar had 3 votes, Dak had 0 for Offensive Player of the Year. Myles Garrett had 23 first-place votes, 13 second-place votes, third for 11, and T.J. Watt had 9, 11 for second, and 12 for third. Micah Parsons had 7 first, Max Crosby 0, and DeRon Bland had 1. C.J. Stroud was your rookie by 48 first-place votes to Puka's, like you said, you think Puka should have got it. He had 2 first-place votes. And then the other guys were Sam Laporta, Jamar Gibbs, and Robinson. Defensive rookie went to Will Anderson. Was he another guy from the Texans?
Yeah.
Dang. Rookies swept down there. Yeah, Anderson and teammate C.J. Stroud sweep the rookie awards, becomes the third Texan to earn. This is another close race. Yeah, they had 16 first-place votes to Jalen Carter's 14 and Kobe Turner's 14 first-place votes. Joey Porter Jr. was on there with 1. Comeback Player of the Year was Joe Flacco with 13 first-place votes, 26 second-place votes, and 8 third-place votes for a total of 151. Damar Hamlin had 21 first-place votes, 7 second-place votes, and 14 to a total of 140. So Damar lost by 11 points, which I think Damar should have got it. But Baker Mayfield was 10, 10, and 13 for a total of 93. Matthew Stafford and Tua Viola, they were to round it out. Browns coach, yeah.
T.J. Watt wasn't happy about getting snubbed.
That coach thing really quickly? The coach thing, the Browns coach, they both, and DeMeco Ryans both had 165 points, right?
Yeah.
They both finished but the reason he got it for the Browns, because he had 1 more first-place vote. He had 21 first-place votes to DeMeco Ryans' 20. He had 18 second and 6 third, and DeMeco Ryans had 21 seconds and 2 thirds. But they had the same amount of points with the first-place vote guy. Dan Campbell had 3, Kyle Shanahan, John Harbaugh. Jim Schwartz was your man of the year.
I tell you what, I would have been happy with DeMeco Ryans winning it. At least he got to the playoffs.
Who are you wanting to win it?
DeMeco Ryans. At least he got to the playoffs. If I'm not mistaken, the Browns didn't even make it to the playoffs, did they? Or did they? I might be wrong, hell.
No, DeMeco, I think, like I said, he was 1 point.
Well, T.J. Watt put out he already had his post already written up when Myles Garrett won. He said nothing I'm not used to. So it's safe to say that Watt
the Browns got beat by the Texans.
It's safe to say that Watt is taking this personal and will use it as motivation this offseason. So Watt's going to come out and he's going to blow up everybody.
The Browns snuck in and got beat by the Texans in the first round.
Yeah, so, why did Kevin Stefanski win when DeMeco Ryans beat? Yeah, so, yeah. They really need to look at who's voting these awards.
So, y'all, the phone lines are open. The number. We got you 718-664-9861. Call in. Our producer will put you through and give us your take on what we've talked about over the last hour. Pick, any topic we've talked about and give us your opinion, yay or nay, or, and, let us know what you think. Let us know what you guys think. Nobody wants to call in, that's cool too. We'll just keep on yakking.
Yep.
Hello?
Hey, what's going on?
What's going on? This is Eric.
What up?
What's good? I actually had something to say about your NFL awards. And they're talking about, you guys were talking about Kevin Stefanski versus DeMeco Ryans. Stefanski won 11 games with 4 different starting quarterbacks. DeMeco Ryans, I mean, he had Offensive Rookie of the Year. Deshaun Watson, I think, played 4 games. And then they started some Dorian, I think Skyler, somebody, I don't remember his last name, but.
Oh, okay. No, well then, I forgot all about them having all them quarterbacks, and I mean, I guess that's why they were tied at 165 and it come down to 1 point.
Yeah. But, and as for Defensive Player of the Year, like, I don't even think, I mean, that's just an opinion, but TJ Watt, how is he better than Deron Bland, who had, like, the most defensive touchdowns in the history? Like,
TJ, that's you, buddy. This is you weren't mad about TJ Watt.
Even considered for Defensive Player of the Year?
I mean, but TJ Watt, I mean, he definitely deserved it over Myles Garrett, but I think the
100%.
bigger snub,
I forgot all about Deron Bland.
Yeah, I mean, the guy had like 7 picks and 6 touchdowns. But
the quarterback for Dallas?
Yeah.
He had 9. He had 9 picks.
Yeah, okay, 9 picks and had like 6 touchdowns. And like he took 4th, I think, in the voting. Or 5th?
That's crazy.
Like, I don't know.
I forgot all about him. I think he should have won it. You know, I think it was, 6 pick sixes, NFL history, the only player to ever do it, and he got snubbed too.
Yeah, and I mean, and then you talk about Will Anderson as the Defensive Rookie of the Year. What did he do for the Texans? Like, his numbers don't even compare anywhere close to, like, Jalen Carter's or any of those other guys. Like, I didn't understand any of the awards this year. They were very, I feel like the hot take guys won. Lamar Jackson, MVP. Well, why was he MVP? His numbers weren't any better than Brock Purdy's or even better than Josh Allen. Josh Allen, which I don't want to get on Josh Allen, but Josh Allen accounted for the most team touchdowns and percentage of his team's touchdowns of anybody this year. But
I agree. I mean, I think that Lamar, like you said, Purdy, Goff. I think there was C.J. Stroud. There was guys that had the same numbers or maybe even a touch better. So the whole voting thing, which I'm a Lamar guy, so I mean I'm cool with it, whatever. But just really, back to that T.J. Watt debate. I think what T.J. you're more upset about the Garrett got it over Watt or really anybody versus that somebody else didn't get it. It was just that how did you give it to Garrett? That's what I think. That's what I take from it.
Racked up a league best 19 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, 3 fumble recoveries, and an interception. Garrett had 14 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, and 1 fumble recovery.
Right. Well, and
I
Garrett
agree.
played. Yeah, Garrett played 1 less game. Garrett had 33 tackles solo to Watt's 48. He had 9 assisted to Watt's 20. He had 42 tackles to Watt's 20. Tackles for loss, he had 17 to Watt's 19. He had 19 sacks to Myles Garrett's 14. Sack yards, he only had 102 to 122. Defensive interception, Watt had 1. Garrett had 0. So, yeah, because on the list of when the sacks and all stuff, it's Hendrickson, the other Josh Allen, Khalil Mack and Hunter and Crosby are all above Garrett.
Garrett got that because, in my opinion, because of what he did in the first 12 games. His last 6 games, he had 1 sack, but he was on pace to break the record going into week 12. And so, but it's not fair because then he only had 1 sack over 6 games. So, when does the voting happen for these awards is my other question. Is like, if a guy has a hot last 6 games, well, does that even get counted for? Because do they do voting way early? Like, how?
Hey, real quick, my thing is, I don't even think Myles Garrett should be playing at all after he smacked Mason Rudolph with that helmet.
Facts.
Why is that guy still in the league? He gave Mason Rudolph brain damage.
Well, and Bland, really quickly, to just give listeners an idea of what we're talking about when we're talking about these 3 guys, Bland played 17 games, 53 solos, 16 assists, total of 69 tackles, 3 forced fumbles, 9 interceptions, 5 for touchdowns.
Okay.
So Garrett should be 3rd on that list if we're just going to use these 3 guys.
Right.
Honestly, I forgot all about DaRon Bland, so I think DaRon Bland should have won it. I mean, 9 interceptions in one season, that's crazy.
It's tough because they usually give it to a tackling guy or whatever, like sacks and all that stuff. But like I told you in the episode, like on our last episode, Eric, I was telling TJ that in our last episode that how do you give the Pro Bowl nod, or you were listening to me earlier, if you were here listening, how does Winfield Jr. not make it? But a guy that has zeros across the board, and they said it's because of his father's name. And I said, well, Winfield Jr.'s dad wasn't no, chump in the league. Like, his name alone should have got him in. But, I mean, I 5 forced fumbles, 5 whatever. Winfield Jr. got snubbed. To me, that's the biggest snub. Even though it's a Pro Bowl or whatever, that's the biggest snub. But
well, and I heard you also with the awards. I'll stick on the awards for a minute.
Yeah.
Why do you feel that Damar Hamlin should have won Comeback Player of the Year?
I mean, he died on the field, so he was able to come back next year. I mean,
but what did he?
TJ talked about this earlier.
Wasn't dead long enough.
What did he come back? What did he come back and do?
He was
came
able
to life
to again. So.
Huh?
He
came back. He came back to life, but so did Ryan Shazier. Did Ryan Shazier ever Comeback Player of the Year?
I don't think
but he never took the field, though.
Huh?
Yeah, he never took the field. He never took the field again.
No, Ryan Shazier
Damar
never
Hamlin, he took the field as a gesture, not because he did anything. He had 1 tackle.
I'm gonna pull it up. I don't know. Me and TJ talked about this before the show, and that's for the listeners. I'm not laughing at the Damar Hamlin incident. I'm not laughing at he come back from life, whatever. It's crazy that say the award is for whatever. I'm just the way TJ said it. That's why I'm not laughing at the actual accident, because that was horrific to watch on TV.
That wasn't cool.
So
that happened, man.
So the listeners know.
I didn't want to watch football the rest of that night because that's just a scary thought. Because that could happen at any moment, any given time. The way all these hard hits happen in the NFL, and then for him to go through what he went through and still be able to take the field, that's why I think he was going to be a shoo-in. Even though he didn't have hardly any stats, but still he was able to get in the game and play.
I agree with that. That it's cool.
Yeah, he legitimately had 1 tackle.
I know. And he legit only was on the Bills because the Bills were doing a good thing for the organization and saying, hey, we want to make sure you get your money and you get your health insurance.
Okay. Yeah. So,
I mean,
yeah. So my take on that is, my take on the comeback player of the year then, they shouldn't have put DeMar in it. Again, because I'm going to base it off of stats. I'm going to base it like I did off the Winfield Jr. thing. He had one tackle for one solo tackle. He had one solo tackle, no assist, for a total of one. And then you've got these other four guys that are playing day in and day out and getting stats. If they wanted to give him his own award or whatever, that would have been fine. But to put him in the category of comeback player of the year, it's typically, like what you're alluding to, Ari, it's typically a player that didn't, Kobe Bryant or Kevin Durant, when they blew their, or Klay Thompson,
Achilles
when they blew their Achilles, okay, and then you come back and average 27, 7, and 7, and you play 82 games. That's comeback player.
Well, I was mad about the comeback player of the year thing to begin with. Like, why is Tua on there? Why was Tua getting any votes? What did he come back
Was it because he
from?
had those concussions last year?
Yeah, but that, to me, he still played in 13 games. Like, to me, that doesn't make sense. That should be for guys like Joe Flacco, who was out of the league, came back and actually performed, not a guy that had some, I don't know, maybe that's just me weird, like, not a guy who was having hard injury, struggles. But, I mean, I don't know.
Bleacher Report saying that Peter King says it's absurd that Joe Flacco voted over DeMar. And then the insider says Dolphins quarterback Tua was disrespected by not getting it. So I guess it's what everybody's looking at it as, and I'm just going to not be, I'm going to be non-biased like I try to be on the show, and simply look at stats. And stats, DeMar doesn't get it.
Mm-mm.
So,
when stats,
you can have your emotions in it.
I think Baker had a case for winning it. Like, I don't even know Joe Flacco at 5 games or 6 games that he played.
That's
what
I don't agree. I don't agree with that. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Flacco,
like, I think Baker had a major case at it. Like he has the complaint in my opinion. But
Baker had a chip on his shoulder all year.
Yeah, he's
you give it to a guy that only plays
new quarterback.
And then
he's
in them
be
6
games,
Joe Flacco gets beat by a rookie.
Right.
So I'm looking up because we're asking, what's the criteria? So the criteria for the NFL Comeback Player of the Year is, it says, while the criteria for the award is imprecise, it's typically given to a player who overcomes the worst adversity to return to play even a single snap of NFL football, such as not playing the previous season, an injury, or for playing well in a comparison to the previous year's poor performance. The winner is selected by a nationwide panel of media personnel. Since 2011, the award has been presented to the NFL Honor Ceremony held the day before the Super Bowl. The AP first recognized the NFL Comeback Player of the Year in 63 and 66, but these players are not typically not included in the overall list of players. The AP did not give the award until 1998. The only player to receive the award more than once after the AFL-NFL merger is quarterback Chad Pennington, who received it in 06 and the Jets in 08 with the Dolphins. So, based on the NFL's definition that it's to a player to come back and even play one snap from an injury, poor performance, or not playing well, then yeah, DeMar gets it then. Because he had the worst one of the 4.
That's why everybody's up in arms, because he literally died on the field, but he was able to come back and play at least one snap.
Yeah, and that's the big thing to emphasize. It says to come back and return and play even a single snap. So if you word it that way, then I'm back to DeMar now. If stats aren't involved and it's simply to come back from the worst injury you could possibly get, or from not playing, having the worst performance you could have, and Chad Pennington, good job, buddy. You got it twice. So Geno Smith got it last year. Okay, so Joe Burrow got it, right? And Alex Smith got it. We know why Joe Burrow and Alex Smith got it, because they both had injuries and came back the next year and played crazy, right? Joe Flacco came off the lazy boy and played 4 games. Geno Smith, wasn't so hot that one year, and then he was good last. And so all these Eric Berry, Keenan Allen, Andrew Luck, Rob Gronkowski, Phillip Rivers, Peyton Manning, the neck deal, Matthew Stafford, Tom Brady. Like, we all know why these players got it, right? I don't know why Joe Flacco got it.
Because he led his team to the playoffs.
If he was there all year, I would have understood that.
Yeah.
They were out of the playoffs when he came, and I think he won 4 or 5 straight. And it was a feel-good story. I don't know about him being comeback player of the year. It was a feel-good story.
What was really a good story is dying on the field and coming back and playing the next year.
Right.
I mean,
I guess if they took in consideration that single snap thing, he came off the couch or the lazy boy, played a single snap, played 5 games to get his team into playoffs. So I get it, but if you're then you got to say single snap, then it's got to go. It's so. That's weird. That whole thing needs to be revisited, I think.
Well,
he didn't play a whole season.
Like, I feel like a DeMar Hamlin. Okay, did he impact his team at all? No, but he should be comeback player of the year because, like you guys said, he died on the field and came back and played. Like, that's amazing. But I feel like there should be a category for injury comebacks and guys like Geno Smith who just were backups. And then they get a chance, and they took, and
I agree with that.
Succeeded with their chance, because injuries are a big, everybody has season-ending injuries. Every team has them, And if you had an award for that, then it would make it way easier to be like DeMar Hamlin, unanimous comeback player of the year. But because there's so many weird criteria that these media people look at, I think that it might. Confuse some of them. Like, what am I voting for?
Yeah, everybody on every article on every major site is talking about how.
I feel like on some of these awards, they just put faces of the players up and just blindfold and throw a dart. Yeah, he wins.
It says, Hamlin actually got the most first-place votes, 21, but Flacco earned the most points primarily because he racked up more than half, 26 of available second-place votes.
Because back to the Coach of the Year, I get Kevin Stefanski went through 4 different coaches, quarterbacks and all that, but Dan Campbell took the worst team in the NFL in just 3 years' time, was 1 score away from a Super Bowl.
I don't disagree with the Dan Campbell argument. The problem with the Dan Campbell argument is the amount of talent that the Lions have versus the amount of talent that the Browns have. I think that's what hurt Dan Campbell, is having a top 5 receiver, having Jared Goff, which maybe a top 10 quarterback. I think that hurt him. Like, I think him having all the weapons, and even at times making dumb decisions, right? Like, not dumb decisions, but being aggressive. My bad, dumb decision is a bad word, but being aggressive might have hurt him in that talk of best coach, because he also lost them a game in Dallas that they could have won had he just went and kicked the extra point. But inside, he decided to go for 2-3 times after losing 5 yards on a bullcrap ref call, but still, he could have kicked the extra point, tied the game, but he still decided he was going to try to
we
ain't going
to get on that about the report eligible. that was crap.
I mean, I'm not going to get on it, but I was just saying, I think that might have hurt him.
We got about probably 5 minutes, 9:52. The show's going to end in about eight minutes. I asked I asked the producer, and we don't have anybody waiting to call in. So, but no, we're good. We definitely can revisit that conversation because we got a lot of football to talk for over the next several weeks and months. So, wish we had more time. We could definitely get off into that. But we've quickly, Kansas Jayhawks are getting throttled 65 to an unranked Texas Tech to 43 with 5 minutes left in the second half of college basketball. Wembanyama had a triple-double with 27 points, 14 rebounds, and 10 blocks.
He's a goat.
Yeah. Don't even get me started.
You know what, coming up soon, y'all, we're going to have like an episode where we debate the basketball GOAT. Is it LeBron or is it Michael Jordan?
Yeah. Well, All-Star Weekend's coming up next weekend, I do believe, or the following weekend. Is it next weekend or the following weekend?
It's next weekend.
Okay. So, yeah, we're getting ready to shift gears after, we're done with this football stuff now because we got college March Madness getting around the corner. We got halfway through the season with the NBA. Pelicans beat the Grizz. Bucks beat the Nuggets. Just throwing some stuff out there. 110 Nation Sports, want to thank you again. Blog Talk Radio. You guys are awesome. Giannis had 36 and 18. But I think that, like I said, the 49ers are open to be the favorite by plus 550, and Kansas City is a plus 650. The Bills are at 950, and the Ravens are at 900. Lions and Bengals are at 1,200. So that's got to tell me something right there, that even though they did win the Super Bowl back-to-back, but in the fashion in which they played this year, the uncertainty of what their team's going to look like, they're not confident that Kansas City is going to get back there.
And Travis Kelce, you ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Right?
Oh, he's just passionate.
Yeah, right. That's what we'll chalk it up as he's passionate.
Passionate.
I think he could have showed his passion a lot of different ways.
I mean,
I lost a lot of respect for him doing that. Because if it would have been anybody else,
broke that guy's leg.
Yeah. I mean, if it would have been anybody else, like A.J. Brown said, he would have been out of the league if it was him.
Yeah. Antonio Brown would have been. I mean, any other receiver.
Well, Antonio Brown was different.
I don't know if I agree
or if it was
with that.
Chad Ochocinco's.
I don't know if I agree with what A.J. Brown said, but I think that there would have been a lot more scrutiny for an A.J. Brown and for some other guys.
Right. Definitely.
I mean, Travis Kelce gets a pass by everybody because he's dating Taylor Swift.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm glad we don't have to see her on TV for quite a while. And they'll be broke up before the season. Listeners, they will be broke up before this NFL season starts.
She's buying the Chiefs right now.
Oh, that would just be. I don't know if I think I would quit watching football.
For the beginning of the new season, and Taylor Swift will have a new #1 song about Travis Kelce.
Oh, that's 100% true.
Because that seems like what she does. She goes on dates and then writes breakup songs about these men.
Cowboys are hiring Mike Zimmer as defensive coordinator.
Yeah, he was previously one of their defensive coordinators.
Was defense coordinator for 2000, 2006. Vikings head coach from 14 to 21. Let's see. Team reached out to Rex Ryan about a role. This is Adam Schefter about the role.
What about team saying the reason Mike Vrabel wasn't hired as a head coach is he looks too intimidating?
No comment.
What kind of crap is that?
Cavalier. I don't know. Cavaliers' 9-game win streak ends with the loss to the 76ers. That's another thing on the lead.
I would think you want a coach that's intimidating.
Nebraska is going to be national champions next year.
We can get into that next too.
Caitlin Clark's the best basketball player.
I agree.
All right, y'all. Gonna have to get out of here. We've got about a minute and a half. It's gonna cut us off. So, Eric, thanks for coming on, dude. Appreciate you, really.
Mm-hmm.
No problem.
It was fun.
Anytime.
It was fun. So we'll holler at you guys next Sunday at 8:30 Central, and we'll have probably the show's gonna be probably geared towards basketball, and who knows? We might take a night off from sports and talk about a bunch of crazy stuff. You never know around here. So, but Eric, thanks a lot. 110 Nation, Blog Talk Radio, TJ, you guys are all awesome, and we'll see you guys next Sunday, 8:30 Central.
Yep.
Later, y'all.
Take it easy.